somebody else's phone, but it works. Don't you get a hold of the phone?
Yes, I am.
Get a hold of the phone the whole time.
You know,
somebody else's phone. Hold on.
These Instagram lives are always interesting, right?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it is the tricky thing about live, unfortunately. But hold on a second. I'll just hold it. Thank you, darling. Okay. How are you today?
I'm good.
We're both in.
But yeah, it makes it interesting. But that's what I kind of like about it too, and I think that's what other people like. It's that it's raw, right? It's real.
That's it. Da 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 da.
Right. Exactly. Well, hello. I'm so excited you're here. By the way.
Me too. Very happy. We're both in Charleston, I think, today. Is that true?
We are, yes.
Beautiful.
We are both.
Sunshiny day. There you go.
Can't ask for better weather. I know. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. We just got back from St. Lucia and St. Bart's for a site visit and a fam trip, which is always fun. And I'm back ready to film my next course and have my producer here in town. So it's all busy and happy. It's all good.
I am so excited for this, by the way. You know, I host a mentor session, a workshop called Inspired with Julie, and my mentees are going to all be a part of your course. So.
Awesome. Would love that. Really. I mean, it did, honestly, it got started because when we did, and I didn't hear your open, so I don't know whether you mentioned this, but we did a digital course for planners, taking your business from luxury to ultra luxury. And I had so many photographers say that they wanted to join. And I basically said, this is not the course for you. This is a course that I've really targeted toward planners. But anyway, they weighed in and I decided to do it. So we're filming next week and it launches in the summer. So we're excited.
Amazing. I'm so excited too. But I want to get to know, selfishly, I want to get to know you a little bit more because we met very briefly. You probably don't even remember, at a bar in Dublin at Engage.
Right. I do.
It's always funny. I always say I meet Charlestonians in Europe randomly.
How that works.
It works. But yeah, it was so nice to meet you then. And I'm so happy to have you here. But I want to know more about kind of your background, what inspires you, some challenges. I want to let people get to know you a little bit more. And I want to get to know you a little bit. What inspires you? Like, and where are you guys located, first of all?
So we are in Charleston, as I said, and we are down in the historic district. So our biggest conundrum of being down here is that Charleston is such an amazing city and continually gets on the best list of, come visit, that we have literally droves of tourists outside of our door at any given time because we're on the corner of Church and Trad. So we're in this beautiful part of the world. Which I suppose, in itself is inspiring. It just, we get to live we live in a city that is so full of culture and history and fabulous food. And I don't know, but my husband and I have a little hotel called, well, you probably do know because you're local to here, but we have a little hotel called Zero George, which is a boutique hotel. It's got a fabulous restaurant. We have another event venue called Cannon Green, another restaurant called Wild Comet, and we just opened, which has been absolutely thrilling and terrifying, a restaurant called Costa, which is Italian cuisine, and it's a lot of seats and it was a lot of steak, and we can take a breath because it's been successful. So it's part of the amazing. And I'm literally here. I can show you this. So this is where. Let's see what you can see. You see, there's this. There I am, the corner of Church and Trad, right there.
I mean, you are in the corner. You're in the spot.
Yeah, exactly. So, what else? I think, inspiration. We travel constantly,
right?
Which, people are like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky you get to travel." And I am really, really lucky that we do get to travel so much. But you don't always get to pick the days and how back to back they are. And yesterday we're going to Paris for a site visit and the client wants to see, so we're going to fly back in and go directly into a prototype in New York. And so but on the other hand, I think there is so much to be learned by travel. And there, when you're in Paris and you're on the streets, whether it's, just seeing fashion or windows or museums or the Dior exhibit or whatever it is, you can't help but be touched by that and bring that into your work. So I would say travel is really, we were just out at the Rosewood in St. Bart's at the Guanihana, and it's absolutely spectacular.
It looked amazing.
It
looked amazing.
And I didn't even show, which I'm sort of sad I didn't, because I did video in my room, but the decor in the room is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you could not come home. I'm pictures like next event, this would be great color combo, such fun, patterns that we wouldn't typically see before. And I don't know how much your audience knows, but it's one thing that I think that Easton is really leans into is this sort of residential look in terms of our and no better place to get it than in fabulous hotel rooms.
Exactly.
Or Creole in Paris, where we're going to stay in a couple of weeks. So there you go.
Well, I love that. And that's what I love about your design. I have a background in interior design. And so I always tend to lean towards planners who have that residential vibe to their designs. And it's just, yours is, immaculate, of course. So congratulations on all the things.
Thanks.
I'm so excited to try Costa, and I have a fun little question for you later about Costa.
Okay.
So,
I love it.
So I like to ask this question to the most successful people. You're at the top of your field, but who do you look up to in the wedding industry or not in the wedding industry?
It's easy to say in the wedding industry, and that's Marcy Bloom. She's really one of my very dearest best friends. And what she brings to the industry is a sense of joy and the unusual and the out of the box thinking. And, we are constantly laughing, and, we literally, even within the course, like she'll be like, don't let, whatever she's thinking. And, Marcy thinks a very different way than I do. I think, it's really about process and logistics. And for Marcy, it's really, really all about the experience. And both of us have something to learn from each other. But if I'm looking for a planner who's, if you've got a client who is a little out of the box and wants that experience, the things that she's come up with are just amazing. So Marcy would be my pick.
She is a hoot. I met her at Engage as well and could not believe how funny she was. Pretty much could be a stand-up comedian, I think.
Absolutely positive, no question about it.
Yeah.
Really, no one I like better on stage at Engage than Marcy. She always attacks everything with humor. So
Well, she's captivating, but you are as well. So I was actually not nervous to talk to you because I know how captivating and easy to talk to you are. So even the little time I met you.
Thanks.
So I like to ask this question too about challenges. It's something I talk about with my mentees and how I overcome my challenges. We all have them. But what's something in the last year, let's say, because I'm sure you've had many, many challenges, what's something in the last year that you and your team have overcome and maybe learned something from?
We're really good at, I think one of the things that makes us sort of Easton is that every time we do an event, we ruthlessly pick it apart. I expect that every event is 99.5% perfect for the client in terms of their experience. And a couple of years ago, we had a new team member join us, and he's had a lot of experience. And we were doing an event out at Brush Creek, and it was her first event with us, and she comes in, sits down, we're at dinner, we're having like our vendor dinner during actual event. And I turned to Dawson, I say, okay, so what would we have done differently? And Taylor looks at the group going like, oh my God, Lynn, the event is apart. And that helps sort of, so that the challenges don't get typically very big, because we're really, every single time we do an event, we're knocking it down. But we did have, this year, we did an event for 480 people. And it was probably, it was definitely one of the largest ones we've ever done, particularly at the level that we do them, where they're so high touch. And from guest number 1 to guest number 268, all have to have the same experience. And, we went in really heavy with 12 people, but my challenge was we underestimated how complicated doing printed material was going to be at that number, because as I said, we've done that number before, but not with the layers and at the ultra luxury level. There's so much printed, and we went in and we got there. But my whole thing about wedding planning is, as I said, I expect it to always be perfect for the client, but I don't want stressful for us. And so we came back home and like literally ripped that wedding apart, and we're like, how do we make this? And part of, our printed team, offered to come out with us. And the client didn't particularly think that that was a good way to spend money. And I am now really able to articulate why, when you're at these numbers, why you need those extra hands on deck to make that happen. So, and I do think when something like that happens, the event has a ripple effect. It unsettles other areas. When you have to pull people off of, like, oh my God, the escort cards, I need 3 more people and I need them stat. It means you're pulling them off of something else. So I think just breaking down that process was, and I've been doing this for 30 years. So it did feel like, wow, after 30 years, this still wasn't smooth sailing. So that was probably the hardest thing we dealt with this year.
Well, after 30 years, there's always going to be challenges, but I mean, I'm sure no one knew except you guys. You probably moved through it flawlessly, but I mean, it's great that you are still learning and growing. And I love that you go back to the office and say, hey, what can we learn from this? What did we do, that we can improve? I think that's something that every business owner can learn from and take into their own practice, We
have something called the things to do differently email. So I have an address, literally an email address. It is things to do differently at eastonevents.com. It's like a little shortcut in their phone. So while you're at the event, because I don't want anybody like texting to each other, well, that didn't go unless it's something that we can affect, because it just would demoralize the team. So while you're at the event, I expect everybody to send to things to do differently at eastonevents.com 3 things that they saw that should have been done differently. And then we collect those. And it's really been, we have something called our high touch list. And it's probably, I don't know, maybe 7 pages long, broken into like everything from the site visit to, actual pre-install, install, middle and the end. And we're literally checking those things off to be sure we got them right, because along the way we've seen, I've said this before, that at Blackberry Farm, I had Jose shooting, and I had asked we had this picture with people coming down the walkway at Blackberry Farm. It was so beautiful. And I had 300 champagne glasses. And, I knew to ask that I wanted to be sure to Blackberry Farm, and I knew that they would you be sure that the champagne glasses are buffed? Because, when you get the light on that shot, you want to be sure that they spark. But I didn't double check them. And as I go around and we're showtime, I look and I say, were they buffed? And somebody looks at me and says, 100% they were buffed. And I look at them and I'm like, well, they weren't buffed enough. And, and those are the kind of things that go on this, that go on our checklist. Did you, do you have a shot that includes glassware? If you do, did you ask for them to be buffed? And did you have somebody confirm that they were buffed? So it's those kind of things that in the ultra luxury world makes the difference. If you're going to shoot, if you're going to have Jose shoot an ice cube with the logo stamped on it, is that ice cube in the right place with the right amount of liquid in the glass? Because he doesn't have time to like experiment with it.
Sure.
So we're experimenting beforehand. So that's really sort of part of our whole shot list that we go through. If, and we do, we always give our photographers a shot list. So it's not only just, and it doesn't include things like, I honestly hate the picture of the dress on the head personally,
sure.
But pet peeve, or the shoes, don't. So those aren't, but it's like the things that I know that I want a picture of, like the ice cube, like that particular hand embroidery, because and I think planners often make mistakes by the fact that they think their photographer is going to see that, and they can't, or they don't. And again, with our photographers, one of the things that we have is somebody with them the whole time. So they're not going to walk in. If I had a nickel for every time a photographer shoots a tablecloth that isn't quite perfect, because I know what tablecloth they're going to get. We do detail everything before, but that moment when they're, it could be this table, it could be that table. Now, just how we solve that problem is with them, and before they shoot, they go in and they make sure that tablecloth is perfect. And it drives me crazy. Picture of a plate, and we had it recently. The menu wasn't perfect, or the cutlery isn't perfect. So anyway, I digress. these are things.
I could talk to you for hours about this because I am so detail oriented as well. And it sounds like a dream to work with you, to have someone to come along with me. That would be amazing. So maybe that's something that all wedding planners, you know, have an assistant that goes around and makes sure everything is perfect. I think I think it's so important, and especially to market for future weddings for you guys. You want everything perfect, especially at the ultra luxury.
Exactly. What I say to planners is that who I mentor, you need to, even if you spend that, your client's not going to spend for that photo. They will, but if they don't, you bring in that person and pay for it, and you consider that part of your marketing. That's how you get a luxury portfolio. Is that everything your photographer is shooting? We all know you can have an event that is very nice, look fantastic through the photographer's eyes, not so nice. It really, but you know, you can't, and we planners often blame the photographers, but you have to also take responsibility yourself of presenting them with all the tools to get those shots. The amount of time, you know, don't get me started on my time. That's a whole other thing. Of course.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I mean, it's, again, I could talk to you forever about it, but just having that level of detail, I think there are some people in the luxury world that do have that, but to have that extra person, I think is clutch. And like you said, if you add it into your marketing budget, it is, you know, a no-brainer. So, yeah. So, okay, we're moving on. This kind of leads into your course, but what advice, one or two things, the most important things for luxury photographers, planners wanting to get into that ultra luxury space, besides being super detail oriented on every single thing?
I think, and I think I will ruffle some feathers when I say this, depending on your perspective. One of the key things that photographers who want to be in the ultra luxury space have to understand is that the client becomes the planner. The focus is the bride and groom, or groom and groom, or bride and bride, but the client is actually the planner. And I know that I've young, not even young, I've had photographers say, but Lynn, you're not paying the check. And I say, you're completely right. I'm not paying the check, but I hope the pipeline for future events, it's not that likely that you'll have a long pipeline from an individual client. And I think that's a little change in perspective for photographers of the importance of the ultra luxury planner. And then the other thing is, and I'm just going to ruffle some feathers too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's ruffle some feathers.
Be thoughtful about who your target is. Like, if you're not nationally known, you cannot reach out to the elite top 20. They're going to reply. I mean, they reply. I have somebody in my office whose only job basically is replying to all of the vendors. I exaggerate. It's not their only job, but it's probably 40% of what they do is just reply. It has something to do with the fact that when my son, who's now 35, was looking for a job, he said, "Mom, I keep writing people and nobody answers." And I felt so badly for him during 2008, so it was a pretty stressful job. And I was like, I know when I have the ability to, I will be sure that anybody out there or emailing me, I'm going to reply. But I would say that I am very much an anomaly. And there's so little at this point for a photographer that is giving me a call that will get somebody. So my point is start, but there's definitely a process of moving up through and it would be the same thing, if you're a designer, let's that space wall to think of it this way. Let's say you're, a really well-known, recognized photographer, and some new kid on the block who's a designer wants you to give them your time for free. You're probably going to say no. So you got to look for people who are just over your horizon, always reaching up, but just don't reach too far because you're just going to get shot down. And I think So I think those are two points. And again, in the course, we're really going to break it down and what does that email look like, that first email, and what should be, and how do you, I mean, if I get one more email, something that I stumbled across your Instagram, I'm just going to kill myself. I mean,
my gosh. I can only imagine.
Like, lie to me. Tell me you've been following me forever. Whatever.
Right. Well, that is great advice. And it's something that I talk to my mentees about. Don't email Lynn Easton. Don't email Marcy Bloom. Don't email the best of the best. They don't have time to talk to you, But I think that's great advice to reach just above where you are, right? If you've been in business for 10 years, find someone else who's been in business about 10 years and is on the same trajectory as you.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, listen, I am not at your level, but I have the same thing. And that's why I created my mentorship. But at the same time, you don't have all the time in the day to talk to everybody. So.
Exactly.
But I'm so grateful that you're talking to me, because who am I,
We're colleagues in the same city, which is lovely.
Yes, I appreciate it. And so, talking about advice, what's the best advice that's kind of stuck in your head throughout the years that you've gotten?
I love this. It's work hard, have fun, fight nice, and hire well.
So smart. So smart. And something I'm working on this year. So.
But I divide it. It's sent it on a note card. It's such a sweet thing to do. He just literally wrote 4 things on a note card. And it was a client of mine and said it was such a great, experience working with you. And I have it like a paper. So it's been with me a long time. And I subscribe to all of them. Work ferociously hard. Do play hard as well. And give ourselves permission to, like when we're on FAMs, to really enjoy ourselves. Following, there was Lynn had her hands dancing. I really was hilarious. And obviously always quite nice. Never think, and then hire well. So there you go.
So smart, so fun. I've never met a wedding planner who doesn't love to party too. So we're right there on the dance floor, engaged in all the events. So let's move on. Something you're looking forward to this year. I know you have tons of travel, beautiful weddings, wonderful couples. What are you looking forward to?
Well, definitely. So I think this year we're going to be in France twice, once in Paris. We're going to be at at that chateau, which Rachel from Les Codes, the wedding of the century, at that chateau, which is so beautiful, Chateau de Villette. And then we've got we did a buyout of a chateau called Chateau de la Massarier in Saint-Tropez. Got the whole thing for like 4 days, and we've got like a dream team with us. We have Corbin is shooting, and Chris from Storybox, I think, is our videographer. David Stark is my
wow. I mean, I can't wait to see the images already.
Exactly.
Corbin, another Charlestonian, right?
Artist
used to be.
And so it's just really we've got an amazing people. So anytime we get to go out on a great adventure, particularly with the likes of David Stark, who is, just so you all know, is one of the most lovely. When I first met him, I was like a little, oh, okay, because he seems so artistic in a way, but he wrote me an email this morning and he said Coolio, Coolio. I'm like, okay, go David. I think that's really, I think being in France twice, it is, and it's, honestly, I often say to planners, careful what you wish for. This is not the best way to make money in terms of doing these events abroad, because there's so much travel, and it's not, you're not efficient. You're sleeping in your own beds. You're there for a long time.
Sure.
But let's be frank, it's why I still am thrilled to be doing this 30 years in. And the other thing, actually, I'm getting to do, which is amazing, is so I do a lot of work with travel, embark, they're called, and they do all of our travel for book something like Chateau de la Massardier. They're going to book it for us. And we're going on a family trip to Africa. How fun
Amazing.
Jose is shooting it, and it's
I mean,
a bunch of crazy
dream. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'm not jealous. I just want to see the videos and the posts and everything already.
That's so.
But I feel like Lynn, you really bring a sense of like joy to the wedding world. So I don't think there are a lot of people that do that. I think ultra luxury weddings can be seen as such a serious undertaking, which they are, and there's so much to it, but you bring such a lighthearted sense to it, and I love that. It's something that I try to do with photography as well. Bring a down to earth kind of sense to it, and you really do that well. So I just want to give you props.
Well, we were with a prospective client yesterday, and I said to her, it really is the fun part. Like, you will have the toothbrushes that you're going to have as a new bride to be, struggle over your guest list, struggle over seating, but the rest we got, and the rest, and this isn't rocket science. Elite wedding planning is so much about process, and using Marcy's incredible, inspiration of getting out of the box, which we love, but it should be joyful. And listen, we're in the business of happiness. It's how I make my living. So
right, exactly.
A lot to be joyful for. Yes,
I love that, and it is the only way I have found to have longevity in business. Right? I mean, you've been in business for, you said, over 30 years. I'm on year 17. Wow. And we wouldn't do it unless we were having fun.
Exactly. Right. There you go. And the family.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to do speaking of fun, I want to do a quick little round of questions before you talk more about your educational offerings. Okay. These are really silly, and so don't judge. But I want to know, what's your go-to cocktail?
Honestly, I'm not really. I get something as simple as a what do you call a tequila and grapefruit? Was a Paloma. A Paloma. Not very fancy. I really am. To know me is to know I'm a Sancerre drinker all day long.
Okay.
Drinker.
Yeah, I'm more of a wine person too, but I do love a spicy margarita.
Yeah.
So I have not been to Costa yet, but I want to know what your favorite dish at Costa
is.
What do you want me to order when I go there?
Goodness, it's so good. Honestly, everything is great, but there's something called, and I hope I say this right, it's called chicken porchetta, which he takes. It's just so great, and you can hardly think you can get that excited about chicken, but that must have it. And when you go, ping me, and I'll give you the rest of the list of things to have. It's a long list. Okay.
Amazing. Who's the chef there?
His name is Vincent Petrillo, and funnily enough, a sweet story is when we interviewed him 12 years ago, because he was originally our chef at Zero George. He had so much written about him because he was on Chopped, right? And so he won his episode of Chopped, and then he won his season of Chopped. So there was like pages and pages and pages about him. So I kept reading and reading and reading. And it says that he grew up in Denville, New Jersey. And I was like, well, that's weird, because my parents had a lake house in Denville, New Jersey. And then it said Mother Maria ran the SPCA. And I realized, oh my God. So his name is Vincent Petrillo. That's little Vinny, who was such the naughty little boy next door, who grew up by a kid who I wouldn't let my child play with because he was so naughty. He was like the kind like got firecrackers or something. Yeah. And now he's our absolutely brilliant chef.
Small world. Oh my gosh. That's amazing, but I can't wait to try it. What would you be? People always ask me this. What would you be if you were not a wedding planner or educator?
Super easy. I would have been a film producer. I would have definitely been an executive producer. That would have been. I actually went to film school. I mean, for a summer. I went to film school at NYU, and I loved it. But that would really have been that's the alternate me. Yes,
that's amazing. I never would have guessed that. Where did you? This is not part of the questions, but where did you grow up?
I was born in New York, grew up in New Jersey, went back to Barnard in the city, and was there for first 10 years. And then I went to London for a while, and then came to Charleston. So here we are.
I was just talking to someone my New Jersey clients, couples, vendors are some of the nicest people I've ever met. I've never met a rude person from New Jersey.
Here's
So
to Jersey.
props to Jersey. Do you have so my nickname is Jules or Julie Bear. Do you have a nickname that people call you?
I don't, but my soon to be 11 grandchildren call me Lolly.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
11 grandchildren. Wow.
Away, due in May.
Oh my gosh.
They're like, oh, do you remember their birthdays? I'm like, I hope I get their names right.
Oh
Are you
my
kidding me?
Gosh, I barely remember my own birthday. With that many. That's incredible though. Oh, that must be so joyful to have them.
And I've
Are
got
they all in Charleston?
No, only 2 are in Charleston. I've got 3 in Mexico City, 3 in Washington, and 2, soon to be 3 in Marin in California. So all over. I do a lot of. I very much. I really intentionally take jobs in Napa just so I can go see my grandchildren often.
I bet. I'm actually headed there for the first time for a wedding this year. I'm so excited.
Where's your wedding?
Gosh, I would have to look at the venue. It's one of the small towns, and I've actually never been to Napa, Lynn.
Wow. Well, what season are you there?
So it'll be summer.
Summer. Okay, summer because it's so beautiful in the summertime. So that's fine. Good. Awesome.
I'm excited. It's one of the things I'm looking forward to this year. But
awesome.
So last question: are you an early bird or a night owl?
Both.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. It takes a lot to do what we do. So
absolutely.
I mean, I probably, I just, we work, I'm a workaholic. So you got to start early and work late. That's how that works.
I feel like to be in the ultra luxury space, you have to be a bit of a workaholic. Right. And I think it's a great thing. I mean, right. We need.
And anything in life, if you want to be the best of the best, you got to put the hours in to make that happen. And there, can't think of very many industries or either any industry where that is, where, even if you're, some amazing singer, the amount of all these accolades, the amount of work that it took to get you there is normally a ferocious amount. So I just think that's the name of the game, unfortunately.
It is, and I think Instagram and social can make it look so dreamy and amazing, and travel and all that, but we need to remember, especially wedding planners coming up, especially, look at the work it took to get there, and all the little pieces it takes to get there. This is not an overnight, this is not an over month, this is not an over year, this is years and years of churning and working and connecting and all those things.
Exactly.
So, you do it flawlessly. You guys are incredible. So all of my questions are done, but I want to give you kind of a platform to talk a little bit more about your educational offerings. We touched on them,
okay.
But I want to kind of give the platform to you a little bit more.
So thank you. So as I said, because if you have planners in your world, we did launch our second course for your work from luxury to ultra luxury. We're in our second year of that, and it's been so fun because I've got this amazing. We have 100 people who are all able to get, we're in a Facebook actively with each other. They're learning the content. We're talking, once a week while these courses drop, and it's really been it's been so much fun. And then what I did what's called a mastermind. So 15 of the people from first course joined mastermind, and we have had amazing conversations. These people are so smart, so their game, and we are all together raising the bar. Making retreat here in Charleston is fun. And then this newest thing we talked about is called the Planner's Code, which we're dropped this summer. And basically, it's all about how to help photographers basically take their game from luxury to ultra luxury, and how planners expect, how to connect to them. All of the all the things that I've learned. The things that photographers should not do are in this course.
I think that's so great. I think it's amazing, and I think it will only make the industry as a whole better.
That's my game plan. I mean, I think, and I think we are getting more education out there, which is wonderful, because we're a little bit like the Wild Wild West. There needed to be a little corralling, and I think some of us are doing that. So that's my game.
Bravo to you. It's true. I was talking to my partner Matt about it. When you start in this business, and even 20 years into it, you're throwing things at the wall and see if it sticks, right? And so it's nice to have people like you putting out a roadmap, of a bit of a roadmap that people can guide themselves on. So it's so helpful, and I know it's going to be such a success. I can't wait to talk to you and your team more about it, specific for my mentees. I think it's going to be game changing for everybody.
Awesome.
So I'm so excited about it. Lynn, I know you're so busy and you need to go do emails or travel books or whatever.
Right there. She's like, okay.
She's like,
I need you.
Wrap it up. Thank you guys. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, team, for all the communication. You guys are amazing. I will be in touch, and I just appreciate your time so much.
Thanks so much. All right. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.